I'm Joe Biden's husband.
The Wii U, Nintendo's worst performing console. This does not count. The Wii was a massive success, everybody knew about it, and people were into it. Then Nintendo wanted to capitalize on that craze by taking the Wii name and just adjusting it slightly to give it a zit. On the Wii, Nintendo released Wii Sports, and it was a great launch title to start the Wii off, and they wanted to reclaim that magic through their new launch title coming out for the Wii U, Nintendo Land. Now sadly, Nintendo Land did not reach the same success as Wii Sports, with an underwhelming showing at E3 2012, terrible marketing, and just being a console that was dead even before it came out. Yeah, Nintendo Land was set to fail at the very start. Reggie at E3 2012 comes on stage and says how just like Wii Sports,
when you played it for the first time, you got it. For Wii U, Nintendo Land does the same thing.
Alright, I'm intrigued, Reggie. See, with Wii Sports, it was immediately clear how to play it. Swing the Wii remote to hit the ball. So when Mr.
Tatsuya Eguchi
shows up to elaborate,
if you look closely at the center screen, which represents the big TV, compared to the side screens showing the gamepad view, you'll soon notice that they're quite different. The gamepad ghost can see all the players all the time, but the other players cannot see the ghost.
This guy explains Luigi's Ghost Mansion as though it's as complicated as rocket science. It's kind of ironic, even before the Wii U came out, the cracks were starting to show. Despite this, I have always loved Nintendo Land. It may never always be on my mind, but out of all the Wii U games, it's the only reason I still boot this dust collecting console. I mean, disregarding the fact that most Wii U games have either been ported or have better versions on Switch. Nintendo Land is a party game compiling together 12 brand new distinct games based on Nintendo's back catalog of franchises.
Hot buttered popcorn, that's a deal! Yeah.
Right here on the screen, and even the box art itself, is Monita. Monita here is your tour guide of sorts who helps run the theme park and guides you. Please help, the machines are taking over. I love this character. Honestly, such an underrated Nintendo character. The design is unique and simple, and when I said she runs the park, I really mean it. There are many times she herself will be in the game or in certain artwork of that game. Monita is with you the whole time, and I don't mind her not only for her design but also her voice. Nintendo went with a robotic approach, which makes a lot of sense. However, the voice used is very soft and not unnatural like most robotic voices.
Welcome to Nintendo Land. I am Monita, your park guide.
They got an actual voice actor and added just enough voice modifications to make her voice sound robotic enough, but not too much to where you lose the immersion of her voice. But let's move on from Monita. You'll be seeing her all the time for the rest of this video. Before we can even get to the main event, that being the attractions, we need to talk about the actual park itself. This is simply filled with so much personality. I love how you can tap on Monita and she does some cute animations. You can twist the gamepad and the camera and aspect ratio will correspond to how you are tilting the gamepad. I like that. You have all these Miis walking around. Sure, they don't really equate to a lot since Miiverse is, but it makes the park feel so lively. You can access each game through a menu, which is great for fast travel and convenience, but you can also walk around and enter inside like you're walking up to an actual attraction. You can view the whole park up top this tower and even play a mini game. Just a simple 8-bit mini game where you have to dispense balls and make them hit these glowing circles. Now you play this with the coins you earn in the mini games. Every time you complete a round, you will be rewarded with coins. I love this addition as it gives an incentive to keep playing while you see the theme park build more around you as you play. The minigame itself is a little basic and I wish there was more than just one, but hey, it's nice to have it here. You will accumulate prizes after each stage of the minigame you complete that will be shot out of this Monita tower. Walk on over and you'll notice they have a striking resemblance to our favorite plumber set of games. Again, great world building. Tap on it and whoa! They're basically like trophies from Smash Brothers, but they pulled it straight out of the different attractions. That is really cool. A lot of them have animations attached to them and all have descriptions to go along with their 3D model. Again, very similar to the trophies in Smash Brothers. You get to learn so much about Nintendo history, and unlocking them is fun and easy since you just play the games and get coins. We are not done yet, no. There are little switches you can mess around with. This one, oh my god. So, this was Nintendo's first HD console, and granted, we can easily achieve graphics like this, but back then, it was so cool to see this type of lighting with the Nintendo charm. I stand by the fact that Nintendo Land is one of Nintendo's most appealing looking games, and being their first HD endeavor, it holds up incredibly well in 2021, 9 years after it came out, mind you. Back to the Switches. I love that you can easily change it from day to sunset to night. The final notable addition here in the Plaza is this jukebox. Just tap on the gamepad screen and play any song from the game that you have unlocked, and it will replace the regular Plaza theme, basically like a music player. I know you have all been dogging on me, but we're finally gonna talk about the main attractions. The attractions. Wow, was that a bad use of wording right there, Danerade? Now there are 12 games, and I cannot go over all of them in great detail as I would want to, as we'd be here all day. So I'll deeply go into about half of them and briefly talk about the other half. Now these games are split up into 3 distinct categories: solo, team-based, and competitive games. I really like this as there's something for everybody. If you're a socially shy nerd with no friends, well, these games right here are going to be your favorite. If you're a nerd but have friends, you'll want to play the games above. Now, I personally define Nintendo Land as a party game, and these solo games are not the main attraction. Again, great choice of words, Danerade, which is why I will be going over them as well. Oh, whoop-de-doo, let's finally get started. Wahoo! Luigi's Ghost Mansion. There's a fine line between Luigi's Mansion and this game, Luigi's Ghost Mansion. They are really different in Nintendo's eyes. Luigi's Ghost Mansion assigns one player, that player being on the gamepad, as the ghost. The players on the TV screen cannot see the ghost, and it's up to the players to shine their flashlight at the ghost for it to lose all of its health. If the ghost reaches 0 within the 5-minute timer, the humans win. If the ghost kills, or in this case violently shakes them to cause a heart attack of the in-game players, the ghost wins. When there's a ghost near you, your Wii Remote will start to vibrate, and when the ghost is really close to you, then your Wii Remote will start having a heart attack and your hand screaming, "Dude, run!" The ghost's perspective, that being on the gamepad, has a muted color palette. I think this is a really nice touch. The ghost can be revealed when lightning flashes if the ghost happens to be in the light's direction, which definitely is annoying for the ghost's perspective, but to combat that, the ghost has a couple tools at their disposal. They can press A to dash, though at the cost of revealing themselves. The ghost also has a charge move where the player holds down ZR and ZL for about 5 seconds and unleashes with what looks like a cesspool of haunting spirits. And if players were to step onto this purple circle, they are stunned and their flashlights are disabled, which you know what happens next. That is some really good sound design. The remixes and new tunes created in combination to the thrashing and starting music cue every time the ghost catches you can really throw you for a loop. It's not like you're going to get scared or anything, but I don't know, it's just the little things that can catch someone off guard and begin to scream at you, and if you're really lucky, curse at you.
Alright, you know what? That's the last f***ing straw. Alright, I don't f***ing need this. Alright, f*** you. This.
The game has a combined 5 stages, which includes a welcomed variety of unique layouts. The main floor and basement have no gimmicks and are simply good callbacks and references to the same rooms of the same name in the original game. The research lab has moving conveyor belts, which are a burden on players but not to the ghosts. It's fine, just kind of unfair for the players, that's all. Oh look, I won. Never mind, I love this stage, ghosts rule. The storage room has these knights scattered around. Walk near them and your Wii Remote will start having another heart attack no matter if the ghost is actually nearby or not, completely throwing you off and also kind of scaring you. The final stage is Monita's rooftop. I told you this wouldn't be the last time you'd see Monita. This is where things get interesting. In addition to being a great reference to the original game, in this stage, mini Monitas are spread all throughout the stage. They all have flashlights and have little sirens on their heads. Green being okay, yellow meaning the ghost is nearby, and red meaning the ghost is right next to them. God send help! This is a pretty tactical stage as the lack of walls means narrow corners are not really a thing, and both the players and the ghosts have to be on their toes. Luigi's Ghost Mansion has a lot of depth and little design details put in there where I am shocked this is only one of the 12 games included. I still think this game is especially cool because at this time Luigi's Mansion 2 or 3 was not out yet, so Luigi's Mansion was still considered that one GameCube launch title that people were kind of divided on. This is by far the best design game from the sounds and visuals alone. You could make the case that it's one of the most unbalanced games in this collection, but I don't know, I think if you know what you're doing, I'd argue the humans and the ghosts have an equal opportunity to win. Unless it's the conveyor belt level, the ghost will basically win every time. All in all, Luigi's Ghost Mansion is chaotic fun as you and your friends work together to stop an overlying threat that may, just in fact, spook you. This is an easy 5 out of 5 game in the package. Mario Chase. So Mario Chase here is a glorified version of hide and seek tag. Mario, who is on the gamepad, has 10 seconds to run away, and everyone else as Toads tries to hunt down Mario. Now Mario on the gamepad screen can in fact see where the Toads are and his current location through a map and a bird's eye view camera angle. However, to give aid to the Toads, they have what I can call a hot and cold distance projector. If you're cold or getting farther away from Mario, the yards will go up. If you're hot or getting closer, then your yards will go down. Now this may make it sound easy, but if Mario is constantly running, it can be hard to always find him. And plus, Mario always knows where all the Toads are, so it's ideal for Mario to use his map to his advantage and to get away as fast as possible before the last minute. There is nothing very special about the last minute, but it's usually the time when the Toads have found you and are on your tail.
I think you guys do that. This other stage. I'm going to stay on Mario. I'm right coordinating right now. 7 seconds. I want you guys are right there. What are you doing? Stop right there. We are literally on the trail right there. I know we can get it next time, but it's okay, guys.
When they are on your tail and are close, the Toads can press the 2 button to tackle. If you tag or tackle Mario, you win. If you don't, shame on you, Mario wins. The last minute, like I said, can get really heated, and the accompanied remixed music helps too, as it gets faster and faster the less time there is, just like in regular Mario. But the one thing that makes this game much more intense in an enjoyable and frustrating way is 2 words: D-pad. Mario on the gamepad is set, nice smooth circle pad, perfect, good for him. But for everyone else on the TV screen, they are jerking their thumbs vigorously back and forth, which can lead to some extremely funny moments that are purely caused by the D-pad, which is more of a problem with the Wii hardware rather than the game itself, I guess. Overall, I don't have a lot of comment on this game. It's just a very fun version of tag with great music and visuals. I'd label this another 5 out of 5 game in the package. Now we have come to our final competitive attraction, Animal Crossing Sweet Day. I like this game just as the others, but it's a shame that this was the only true Animal Crossing game that came out on Wii U, being very similar to Mario Chase, except this time the person on the gamepad is hunting down those on the TV screen, as everyone else, as animals, is trying to collect candies in their giant little noggin of theirs. The more candy you pick up though, the slower you are. You are allowed to drop candy whenever, so it's key to weigh your options. All animals share a heart system, and if any players are tagged 3 times, the gatekeepers win. So the gatekeeper is actually interesting, as there are 2 of them, 1 for each thumbstick on the gamepad. Controlling 2 is way harder and requires a lot more coordination. Overall, another great addition, though my main criticism is that it's a little too similar to Mario Chase. Also, only 2 maps is quite disappointing. It seems like we are just going down in maps every time. Luigi had 5, Mario had 3, and now this has only 2. I take out one of the Luigi's Mansion maps and give it to either Mario Chase or Animal Crossing. But what makes this my least favorite competitive game is the lack of much fan service. Like Mario Chase and Luigi's Ghost Mansion, they are awesome. Boom, good job. Yeah, the scenery kinda looks like Animal Crossing and you are Animal Crossing characters, but it feels just unfocused in what it wants to achieve. Animal Crossing Sweet Day receives a 4 out of 5 due to its similar structure to Mario Chase and to the fact that my friends and I aren't urging ourselves to play this one as much. From this point forward, we move away from competitive games to the cooperative games, which is a major problem I already have with this game. Nintendo only made 3 competitive games, which are the types of games I associate and play the most on Nintendo Land. Starting the cooperative games is the Legend of Zelda Battle Quest. These cooperative missions are pretty fleshed out and can stand as their own set of little games. They also strike a fine line in difficulty, as these are not easy walks in the park. Zelda here is a unique experience as you go through levels in which there are quite a few of them and attack enemies with your sword. Sometimes it's simple and you just slash away, while other times you need to actually position your hits to get past, let's say, a shield or armor. The person on the gamepad acts as the archer and uses the gyro controls to aim and shoot targets. This is a pretty balanced setup, but I enjoy going through the waves of enemies and bosses the game throws at me, though my one main problem is the lack of any controls. Your character moves automatically, and this can make certain kills really annoying as it feels like it's out of your control. And plus, it seems like an auto feature where the game can make it easy on yourself, where you only have to gun and not worry about the run. It's fine, I guess, but I much prefer the mobility in some of the other games. I'd give Zelda a 4 out of 5, just like Animal Crossing, but the base experience is a joy with friends. But something that this game has over the other games is that you fight a bird thing in a match of volleyball.
Oh man, I love volleyball.
This is one I can get behind. Metroid Blast is a third-person shooter that makes you feel proud to be a Nintendo fan. You have full movement and control unlike Zelda, and it's a really nice pairing. Every player is required to use a nunchuck, so getting a sizable group of people can be a bit expensive and time-consuming. But if you pull it off, I highly recommend you at least give this game a shot. Though I have always found the controls just a bit wonky. Nothing that you can't get used to, it's not that bad, but I feel like the Wii Remote and nunchuck aren't the greatest for point of controls, especially if you're aiming in precise areas. Don't get me wrong, it can be done very effectively in specific games, but for some reason, if you just don't touch Metroid Blast for a while, the aiming feels too sensitive. Those with the Wii Remote are gunners and are on the ground, while the gamepad user gets to be in Samus's airship, and boy is this really satisfying to control. The gamepad functionality is really strong in this game, and the controls are very smooth, so this game has an even lengthier campaign to compete with Zelda. I played the campaign with a buddy way back in the day, and I got pretty intense and extreme at the very end. I don't particularly enjoy the campaign as much in a party setting, but if you do it with a partner and are determined to see each other often or live together, then I don't know, I think you'll have a lot of fun conquering this game and its quests. This goes the same for Zelda as well, just cranking it out at a party might lead to a disconnected experience with your peers. Aside from that, the actual gameplay itself is excellent. What is also included in this game is a battle mode, basically adding another competitive attraction. This mode puts you and your buddies against each other, where players on the ground go against the spaceship. You can collect power-ups to help aid you, and it's all just very fun. This is probably the beefiest game of the package. With it comes some tight gameplay. I honored this game a 5 out of 5 for it feeling like a complete experience. Pikmin Adventure. Speaking of a complete experience, based off of one of Nintendo's beloved franchises, Pikmin Adventure is a pretty faithful recreation of the regular Pikmin gameplay that is jam-packed with content. That was a pretty smooth transition. I gotta give myself a pat on the back. You know what else is a smooth transition? The villain this time is, get this, Dark Monita. See, Nintendo was really using their creative juices on this one. Just gotta slide the Monita model and slide the evil looking hat model. Boom! New character. I actually really like this edition, but for all the wrong reasons. She just comes and is like, I am Dark Monita, the evil overlord. Yeah, you know Dark Monita is my model. There's a reason I'm labeled as Supreme Overlord on Discord. Speaking of Discord... Back to Dark Monita. One ironic enjoyment I get out of her is the fact that I can't really take her seriously. When you have the same neutral sounding voice, it's hard to take you as a threat.
I am Dark Monita, the evil overlord.
But to the actual gameplay itself, it's basically Pikmin. I mean, there are changes, but if you like Pikmin, you're probably gonna like this game. I remember actually beating this game in single player and really enjoyed it. This is probably the best team-based attraction you can play alone. Plus, if you play with your friends, this might happen. So be wary of giving this power to your fellow friends who is on the gamepad. I award Pikmin Adventure with a 3.5 out of 5, not because it's a bad game, but because a multiplayer game is more fun in single player, at least in my experience. Now it's time to lower the party-going mood in the air. It's time to review the solo attractions for the less fortunate who don't have friends. If you don't have friends, I don't even know why you'd buy this game though to start with. Octopus Dance. This one I find myself playing every once in a while, as it's simple fun. Just copy the movements of Submarine Mr. Game & Watch by either moving your arm with a thumbstick or moving the gamepad up for jumping and tilting for moving left or right. The gamepad will show you the back angle while the TV will show you the front angle, and then it will flip you around so that the TV is the back angle and the gamepad is the front angle. Sometimes ink is squirted on the screen and you have to do everything in reverse. It's a cool effect, but the gamepad usage is pretty minimal at best. Octopus Dance receives a 3 out of 5 as it's good arcadey fun but doesn't leave a lot to go back to. Yoshi's Fruit Cart. This is probably the most game of the package. The point of the game is that you see the fruit on the TV and not on the gamepad. So you look back and forth as you draw a line or direction for Yoshi to go in. If Yoshi gets all the fruit, bam, you win. Do it again. It's cute, I guess, but nothing earth-shattering, really. I award Yoshi's Fruit Cart with an impressive score of 1 out of 5. Captain Falcon's Twister Race. This one is another game. So it's a standard racing game where you want to get to the next stage before time runs out. You'll hold the gamepad in a vertical orientation and move it left and right to avoid obstacles. My problem is that this game especially, and a lot of the other solo games, feel very archaic, where you start at the beginning and try to get as far as possible or to get as many points as possible. Just like the classic arcade games of the 80s. It's fine, but I feel like I can never really replay this one more than a couple times until I get frustrated or bored. Captain Falcon's Twister Race receives a 2 out of 5. Now this is a solo attraction I can get behind. Donkey Kong's Crash Course is one game I love revisiting. You have to go through a Donkey Kong inspired obstacle course as you use the buttons and gyro of the gamepad to maneuver yourself around. The gamepad screen is a bit more zoomed in, so it's ideal to look back and forth from the TV to the gamepad. I really like this game as the obstacles themselves are really creative. Like if you started with a blank board, where would you start? The game design in this one is really good and I greatly enjoy it. When you finish the first board, there's even a second harder board for you as well. That is a nice touch. Donkey Kong's Crash Course receives a 4.5 out of 5. It's not a 5 as it reminds me how lonely I am when I play it. Hakamaru's Ninja Castle. This one is an interesting one as it's based off of an NES game that never left Japan. In this one, you use the gamepad to throw out shurikens at the ninjas in front of you. It is really satisfying to kill the enemies in front of you, especially with the visuals and subtle sound design. There are many little boss battles here or there, and you are constantly changing locations. Please do not sleep on this game. Hakamaru's Ninja Castle receives a 3.5 out of 5 because I feel like it. Balloon Trip Breeze. Balloon Trip Breeze is basically a balloon fight on the NES, or except this time you are guiding your player character on the gamepad with the stylus. I will say Nintendo nailed the visuals, especially when transitioning from day to night. But I don't have a lot to add. It's balloon fight and your enjoyment depends on whether you like balloon fight as a game or not. 2 out of 5. The final thing I should note is that there is one more addition that quite literally rounds everything together: Attraction Tour. Compete with your friends and play most, if not every single attraction. Everyone takes turns on who gets to choose the game they want to play and against who. The game keeps track of your points as you play. The player with the most points at the end wins. And I have already gone over all the games individually, so you know what the gameplay has in store for you. Though the point system can be a bit unfair. Like if you're choosing an attraction and the game says, hey, if you play this game, you can get double the points or even triple the points. It's a bit of luck in that department, as other players who aren't involved can become behind because of that luck. To compensate, other players can bet on who will win, and if they are correct, they can get some points. I love this edition as it proves Nintendo is actively promoting kids to grow up with a gambling addiction. But even then, 2 points isn't as great as 3, 6, or even 9. If you want to hop between game to game in a competitive fashion, then I'd highly recommend Attraction Tour. And that is every single game in Nintendo Land. And overall, a very solid package. Even the worst of the solo games at least have some fun in them, and still have the good music and visuals just like all the other games. And for the other games that really excel, like Luigi's Ghost Mansion, Mario Chase, and Metroid Blast, are all excellent in their gameplay, presentation, music, the works. It's not perfect. The absence of online play was a huge bummer for many people, as Nintendo had advertised that they were going to put a heavier emphasis on the online connectivity with the Wii U. Though let's face it, they still haven't understood how online works even with the Switch. But let's take a few steps back here. What made Nintendo Land special? Well, I think it relies on 2 points that I tried to hit home at in this video. Number 1, it was a great use of the Wii U gamepad. Think of 3 games off the top of your head that use the Wii U gamepad really well, not including Nintendo Land or Super Mario Maker. Yeah, I thought so. Number 2, asymmetric multiplayer / keeping couch co-op alive. Nowadays, we can comfortably play games like Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, and even the very popular Jackbox series of games. But man, in 2012, it seemed like online was gonna kill off couch co-op and multiplayer games. And while it did to an extent, it was great to see Nintendo revitalize the genre through an expert use of their franchises and smash them all together in a game. If you are one of the 2 people who have a Wii U and don't own this game, then shame on you. I'd pick it up as Wii U games are crazy cheap at the moment. But mark my words, in 20 to 30 years from now, Nintendo Land could see a huge spike in value. The game was a great blast in the past for me, and I greatly enjoyed replaying it for today's video. And I recommend you all do the same if you have a copy. But before we end off, I know you're all wanting to hear every game ranked. So, Yoshi's Fruit Cart, Balloon Trip Breeze, Captain Falcon's Twister Race, Octopus Dance, Takamaru's Ninja Castle, Pikmin Adventure, Animal Crossing Sweet Day, The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest, Donkey Kong's Crash Course, Metroid Blast, Luigi's Ghost Mansion, Mario Chase. Thank you for watching!